The PlayStation 4 version of Red Dead Redemption just had a new patch update, which actually allows for 60 frames per second. And because of this actually, for me, really changes the way I saw this new port of the game. It really does change things quite drastically. So we're going to be re-reviewing the game today, talking about that improvement and how that changes my opinion a bit on the game. Still not, it's not going to be all positive, there's definitely still some negatives, but it does definitely change some things about the game. So let's actually load into Red Dead. But just before I do that, I'm actually going to close this quickly, since I will just show you that when you do actually go to load up Red Dead Redemption here, eventually we will get a new prompt that we didn't get before. So it does actually, there is a slight change. It's not that it's hidden in the settings, it is quite obvious. Now, it's interesting to me. I wonder whether this was something that Rockstar had planned to do all along, or the developers, is it Double 11, had planned to do all along for this game, or whether the 60 FPS patch was just because of the, the hate and the bad responses they've been getting for the game not being 60 frames on PlayStation 5. But actually, it didn't actually show it this time, but when I first loaded it up, it actually came out with a prompt for whether I wanted the subtitles on or off, and whether I wanted to choose 30 or 60. Now, I chose 30 to start with, since I wanted to obviously change it in-game, since I know you can do that, so we'll take a look at that. So, yeah, we'll load in. Now, this is on a PlayStation 5. I believe the higher frames are also available on a PlayStation 4 Pro, I believe. Now, right now, this is 60 frames per second. As you can see, I can really, really see the difference. It's so much smoother, it's unreal. So, yeah, that's really, really nice. So, if we go to options, we should in display, there we go, frame rate. So yeah, we can change that to 30 if we want, and then we can obviously see the difference here. I believe on PlayStation 4 it's 30, which is understandable, and then obviously on PlayStation 4 Pro and definitely PlayStation 5 we do get the option for 60. So yeah, this is the 30, and I mean, it might be hard to tell on obviously watching a video of this, but I can really feel the difference when I play it. It just feels like there's latency almost. Obviously there shouldn't be between 60 and 30, but it just feels like there's delay between the controller and when I just switch to 60. It's just, you really can tell the difference. I love this with every game when they do add 60 frames. I just think the difference is night and day. It's unreal. So yeah, just really cool stuff here. So that's much smoother. So yeah, we're going to get into a bit of a re-review about the game, but just before that, I want to talk about today's sponsor, Instant Gaming. Instant Gaming is a fantastic website where you can get games at insanely cheap prices across all gaming platforms really, particularly on PC. You can bag yourself some insane deals. You can get games at just really heavy discounts, even brand new games. For example, the brand new Assassin's Creed Mirage, you could really, really save yourself a lot of money on that game just by using the link in the description to use Instant Gaming. There's so many games on there, so many great prices. Trust me, you genuinely will save a lot of money. Definitely check it out using the link in the description. So, getting back into the video. So, yeah. Now, I want to start by saying, obviously, it isn't still perfect. We'll talk about the negatives first. I think that's probably the best thing to do. So first of all, the price point. Now, does £40, is that a justified price point for 60 frames, slightly improved graphics, and that's about it? No, it's not a justified price point. Now, it's more reasonable now that there's the 60 frames, of course, but it's still not right. It should be a bit lower than that, in my opinion. Now, of course, we're about to, as I'm recording this, I believe we're just about under a week away from getting the physical release. And when we do that, get the physical release, if you were to get the game on disc, it's going to be cheaper. It always is just cheaper to get the game on disc. So that's just something that will be the case, especially if you look on the used market and stuff like that after it's been out for about a month or so. You'll be able to get the game for cheaper. And when we get to maybe Black Friday, sort of, December time as well, you will be able to get this game discounted digitally as well. So say you have a PlayStation 5 without a disc drive, you will be able to get a discount on this game without a doubt. So yeah, it's definitely something worth noting that whilst the price point right now is bad, because there's no online portion of the game, it's a story game, the player base will die down fairly quickly. It probably already has died down fairly quickly. There will be discounts. It's going to be, it won't take long for there to be discounts this game, in my opinion, since, with the GTA trilogy, obviously, that was nowhere near, I would say, nowhere near as good, really, as this, actually, in a way. That it got discounted. You can get that really, really, really good prices now. So, yeah, it won't take long to get heavy discounts on the game. And when we're looking at sort of that £30, maybe 35 mark, I think it is worth it for what you're getting. Now, it is disappointing they removed the online portion of the game, of course. That is disappointing. It would have been cool. It would have been quite fun to see that. But unfortunately, we're just not going to get that. It's just not going to happen. But what we do get is we do actually get the whole complete edition of the game. We get the Undead Nightmare, and we also do get the main story. And it's worth noting that, bear in mind, you are getting Red Dead Redemption here. This isn't by any means a bad game. This game is absolutely fantastic. You're getting a really, really great story, and if it's a game you've not played before, then realistically, you have been missing out, since this game is outstanding. It's, you know, on par really in story-wise with Red Dead Redemption 2. It's just really, really good. And to be honest, yes, there's not been an improvement to the graphics. That's definitely, you could argue that's a negative, absolutely. But it still looks good. I still think that this looks quite nice. Obviously, yeah, you can see its age. Does it look like Red Dead Redemption 2? No, of course not. I'd be blind if I thought it did. But it does still look quite nice, especially when you see the sunsets, everything like that. It's easily a playable experience, particularly now we have 60 frames. And the fact it is on PlayStation 4, I think, is great in the first place. Obviously, when we first got the rumours of a Red Dead Redemption remaster, obviously we didn't get a remaster, but no one expected it to release on PlayStation 4. I certainly didn't. So yeah, the fact it's there for the PlayStation 4 players is really nice. Even though it is 30, that's what you would expect in the first place on an older console. So yeah, it is really, really, really nice to see that we do have the 60 frames. It is a big improvement without a doubt. So yeah, being able to just go into the display settings, and right when you do first load up the game, you get the prompt as well. Change that to 60, it's a completely different experience. It really, really is, and it feels just so much better now. It's unreal. So yeah, that is good. Obviously, it should have launched without a doubt. So I assume that because of all the backlash that they got for not having 60 frames on next gen, that they did just add it. I assume that's why. So yeah, it makes sense, and I'm glad they did. I'm glad they listened. It's not like Rockstar to always do that. So yeah, but I'm really impressed. I have to, you know, give credit to Double 11. This has been a strong port. Obviously, it's not what we wanted, but if we were told it would be a port, then you can't complain, since it actually is a really, really good port. It's not a remaster or anything like that, but in terms of just bringing the games to newer consoles, especially with 60 frames, they've done a perfect job of that. It's outstanding. The higher price point isn't really their fault, so you can't argue with them about any of it, really. So yeah, it's really good stuff. And now, in terms of whether it's worth getting, just wait for a sale. Of course, yes, you're getting Red Dead Redemption here. It's a great game. It's really worth, you know, remembering that, you know, you're not paying it £40 for a mediocre game. You are paying £40 for an outstanding game. But obviously, yeah, that is a high price point, and especially if you already played the game before, then, you know, you can't really justify it. But when we do get some discounts, when we get the physical release as well, it's definitely worth getting. And now, it's interesting. Before, I used to say that the Xbox version was actually the one you're better off getting, since there is a way to get 60 frames on Xbox Series X, and also you are getting the online portion, and it's a much cheaper price over on Xbox since it's the older version of the game. But now I think it's a tough call. If we had them at the same price point, I think it's really, really tough to call which is better picking up, whether it's the new version on PlayStation and also on Switch, bear in mind, or whether it's the version on Xbox, since I have to say, with 60 frames, it's hard to say no to being able to play it with 60, since of course, you know, 60 FPS, that's just perfect, really. So yeah, it's interesting. It's a tough one actually between Xbox and PlayStation for this one. I think if I had to choose, I'd probably go with PlayStation, just because you get the 60 frames now. But bear in mind, Xbox, you do save some money by getting it on Xbox, since it's the older version of the game. But they're both outstanding at the end of the day. And yeah, at the end of the day, you are getting Red Dead Redemption, a great game. So definitely worth picking up, especially if it is on a sale now. So not all negatives, don't get me wrong, there's still some negatives. I'm still not entirely happy with it, like most people. But 60 frames definitely improves things. But yeah, that does just about wrap up things here. That's Red Dead Redemption, a re-review after we got the 60 FPS patch on PlayStation 5. Now, on screen, you are seeing a link to a different video. Hit the link on the screen if you are interested in watching that. I'll see you in the next one. Peace.